6 emergency exits.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours and 58 minutes, so sit back and enjoy the ride, okay?
Hell yeah, I like to travel. I like to travel, but I don't got a plan. Catch me rolling through your city, yeah. Got my toes in the sand. I think I got some wanderlust. But I don't give a damn.
7-footers, are you excited to hear my voice again?
We're back.
You're
back.
Yes, I'm back after Thanksgiving with the fam, and Jarod has been holding it down. Kudos to Jarod.
Well, you know, the little impromptu podcast with Josue Pavone of CLNS Media, where you can also find this podcast and his podcast, Causeway Street, and the Cedric Maxwell podcast.
Yes, he is a friend of the show,
For sure.
We're a big fan of his podcast,
Yeah.
I'm glad that he finally joined us.
Yeah, it was cool because, you know, he was down covering Celtics Nets the day after Thanksgiving, so we were at the arena on Friday, and that was interesting for sure. Good win for the Nets and just an interesting atmosphere. You know, Kyrie Irving was in the building for this one, and we'll get to Kyrie, I'm sure, later in today's show.
Do I have some things to say?
I'm sure you do.
About Kyrie. But let's kick things off with some of the hottest topics around the league.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start with your guy, who's on fire, James Harden. The question is, unless it's already a factual statement, is he the best scorer of our era? Why do we ask this right now? Because he's coming off of a 60-point game in... What is it?
Three quarters.
In 3 quarters,
Yeah.
which is out of control. Okay,
Yeah,
win over
yeah.
the Hawks. Went 16 for 24 from the field, 8 for 14 from 3, and 20 for 23 free throw, plus 50. Harden's on fire. He's cooking. We're talking about a 60-point game. Let's actually let this sink in. A 60-point game in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Not to mention it's before Christmas. Is this a joke?
I mean, what he's doing to offensive basketball is kind of a joke, right? I mean,
He's
you know,
out of control.
he really is. You know, I was thinking today, we have, I guess you'd say we have 2 patron saints of this podcast, right? That are current players.
Okay.
Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, right? Those are who we would consider the patron saints of this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
only because they are the players that we enjoy the most, each
Yeah.
individually in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking we have to do something with James Harden. Like, he has to be like
He needs to get an honorary award
something
from us.
Yeah,
or
like-
some sort of...
Maybe he's another patron saint of this
Yeah,
podcast. I don't know.
I don't mind.
He's ridiculous. So this conversation is coming up because ESPN's Kirk Goldsberry wrote a really good article asking, is James Harden the best scorer of this era? And you remember over the summer, Daryl Morey, Rockets GM, said James Harden is a better scorer than Michael Jordan. Like, he is the greatest scorer in the history of the NBA with the basketball.
We covered that.
And, you know, people went crazy like, oh, he's nuts and this and that. And, you know, again, and we talked about this over the summer, if you're looking at it strictly on the metrics and by the math, it is very hard to argue against that fact, right?
The numbers.
38.9 points per game, right? He could win his 3rd straight scoring title this year. He likely will win his 3rd straight scoring title. Do you know only 2 players in the 3-point era have won 3 consecutive scoring titles or more? MJ and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
That's it. James, I mean, that's elite company, right? Okay.
Exactly. Trifecta right there.
Harden is the most efficient and most active perimeter isolation player in the world. Think about this.
Let's break down that ISO game.
Since the beginning of the 2017-2018 season, 122 NBA players have run at least 200 isolation plays, right? Harden leads the way with 1.14 points per isolation. I'm trying to because people are like, all right, what does that mean? Literally every time he has the ball in isolation, some kind of points are going to get produced. Every time.
100%.
Right, either foul, a 3, a bucket, some kind of positive point is going to happen every time he has the ball in isolation. That is insanity. Like, do you know league average? So, and for a team, a team's half-court offensive play nets you 0.96 points per possession. James Harden he's an entire offense unto himself.
Literally.
Right?
He's doubling.
He gets the ball at the top of the and it's like, well, something's going to happen here.
Lights out.
Some points are coming from this situation in some form or some fashion. And I talked about this last week, and I feel like I'm a broken record, but I'll say it again. I understand. He is a polarizing player. Like, the way he plays the game bothers a lot of people. Friends of ours, friends of the show, don't like the way he plays the game. The foul hunting, all that. But look, you and I say all the time, they just don't foul him. Like, it isn't like he's baiting you into fouling him.
And not to mention, a lot of people don't like you said, the way his style of game, but that's what makes him so special.
Right.
Is what people aren't taking into account. I mean, the things and the fundamentals that it comes down to are extremely rare when he touches the ball.
Listen to this. 51% of his isolations lead to a three-pointer for him or for a teammate. Half the time he has the ball in isolation, either he's getting a three or a teammate's getting a wide-open three. That is what? It's crazy talk.
And not to mention, a lot of these moves, like we said, the one-legged three and they're on the move. And
right.
I'm not going to lie. A lot of the times I see Harden throw up the ball, and I'm like, that is the worst form I've ever seen. That he's on one leg, it's not going to happen, and then that's it. Lights out. It's in.
He has mastered the game from an offensive standpoint. Now, since the beginning of last season, Harden is averaging 19.6 drives per game. And of 187 players with at least 200 drives over that same time period, only Kevin Durant and LeBron James are more efficient at scoring on drives than James Harden. And, one's might be the greatest player of all time, and the other one's no worse than top 25. So you're in elite company right there, right? And despite that, the volume, right? So he does it so often. He's still yielding 1.12 points per those drive to the rim possessions. So in isolation, it's either a three or drive to the rim at 1.12. Again, better than any team's half-court offense, which is yielding 0.96 points per possession. James Harden by himself is an offensive system.
And the only thing that makes me nervous about that aspect of it is I hope that, number one, he doesn't get gassed before the end of the season.
And we're going to get to that.
And number two, I say this only because it is very easy to do this. I hope his teammates aren't resting kind of back because they know that he can take care of it at the end of the day.
So here's the interesting thing, right? And it's sort of this version of hero ball, and like we've always talked about how hero ball is not in vogue in the NBA anymore. Well, it works for the Rockets and their system, right? Like clearly, they're going to win a ton of games. One more stat for you. He's going to the free throw line 14.4 times per game. 12 of his 38 points a game come from the free throw line. Mm-hmm. What? Take away his free throws, he's down to 26 points per game. 12 of them come from the free throw line. That is absurd.
Exactly. And talking about his style of play again.
But why? Listen.
Then don't foul.
The free throw line's 3 points. Why not?
Exactly.
If I'm going to get there, I'm shooting them. Look. We're going to get into the other part of this, right? Which is, okay, for all of his regular season success and his virtuoso performances, it has not translated into the postseason.
Exactly.
However, I will say this. A lot of the talk about his playoff foibles are a little bit overplayed, and I've said that many times before, right? Think about it like this. If the Warriors don't exist as a team, the Rockets probably have a title already.
Yeah.
At least
true.
one.
I mean, hey, true. Yes.
At least one.
At least one. And we know which one that is.
Let's say Kevin Durant goes to Boston instead of Golden State Warriors during his free agency campaign. And the Warriors are still just the, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson version. Maybe they beat the Warriors at a different time. Mm-hmm. Who knows? There are a lot of what ifs, right?
Yeah.
And look, they are the only team to push the KD Warriors in their run.
Absolutely.
Right?
We've talked about that.
We've talked about it. They were up 3-2, had double-digit leads in the fourth quarter of both Game 6 and Game 7. Right? Like, those are games they should have won. Granted,
100%.
They did not.
27 missed threes.
Right? Now, you can argue about the style of play, right? Like, well, you can't be shooting 27 threes in the playoffs and do something different. I will argue that style is what carried them, right? You're not going to all of a sudden figure something different to do in the middle of it. Yes, 3-point shots, and that kind of play has a lot of variance in it, right? I bet if you looked at their average over the course of the postseason, it was about in line with what they do.
Yeah.
They just picked a bad time to miss 27, right? Like
terrible time.
Now you can argue, well, it's pressure. They're not clutch.
No, it doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Pressure's nothing in the postseason.
Well,
and
whatever those things are, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure. But the point being is that the Rockets and what James Harden does from an offensive standpoint is we've never seen anything like it in the NBA.
Absolutely.
He is a guard. He's the guard form of Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, in terms of his ability to score the ball.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we haven't seen anything like that since.
I mean,
Wilt.
he is ridiculous in what he does. Now,
Mm-hmm.
all of that ain't gonna mean spit if he doesn't find a way come postseason to add some hardware, because that is now what separates him from those guys. And mind you, Wilt didn't win a title till he was in his 30s either.
Exactly.
Right? So, and James Harden now 30. Listen, they got a window now. I mean, look, the Clippers, I don't know how you're going to beat the Clippers, but the Clippers, the Lakers are going to be tough outs. But this year, next year, the year after that, this 3-year window where he's in his prime, this is it for them. And mind you, we don't know what Russell Westbrook's going to be like in the next couple years.
Exactly.
So,
because he's always ever changing, I feel like.
So this is the chance for Harden to silence a lot of those critics
and
do something in the postseason.
I feel like we always come back into the new NBA season and we say, okay, so-and-so, we need to see this out of them. They've hit their peak here. We need improvement.
We know what it is for Harden.
Right now, it's Harden's only thing that he needs to face, his only challenge is the postseason.
Gotta win.
Prove us wrong in the postseason, and then we are done. We won't ever,
Gotta win in the
knock
postseason.
you unless you miss 27 threes again. But, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I mean, but, arguably, this is my question to you as we wrap up Harden. Is he in the lead for the MVP race as of right now?
No, because he's not in the lead. He's up there. I would say, I think we did it last week with Joe Sway. We did top 10. Harden's definitely in the top 10. I might rechange the order, but right now what I'm thinking is Giannis, Luka, and Harden somewhere in that order.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll put Harden ahead because his team's got a better record. But yeah, Giannis, Harden, and Luka are probably your MVP front runners right now.
Yeah.
I
would. Yeah. I mean,
I'm giving
Luka's a surprise.
I mean, Luka's because he's averaging a triple double basically, and they're in the playoffs. Like they're 39-9. I mean, and by the way, we're talking about Harden. You know whose game is very Harden-esque? Watch Luka Doncic play. It's very James Harden-like. The step backs, the high isolation top of the key. Like it is very Harden-esque.
Hey, I
So-
mean, it is early. I know we keep exercising
We
that.
say that, but it's not that early
No,
anymore.
no. What I'm saying is
we're
there's
a quarter
a
of
lot
the way
of
through the season. It's
there's a
20
lot
games.
of time for people to make
Oh,
a
yeah.
valuable
I'm
argument.
not saying that like that's going to be what it's going to end the season at. Look, here's what I will say. I will say Giannis and James Harden get the benefit of the doubt that they will continue because they've done it and proven it over the course of regular seasons. Luka has not done that yet. We have to see.
Yeah, I think I need to just see a little bit more development from Luka. But
We got to see him.
you know
I'll
what?
tell you what. If they make the playoffs, and I don't care if they're the 6th seed, and he has that same numbers that he's putting up,
Yeah.
no question.
Oh,
Because
100%.
Nobody had them in the playoffs. Who said they were making the playoffs this year?
We were surprised.
Right, so-
yeah. I mean, even side note too, Dirk just came out too and said, I thought Luka was going to kind of have those second-year growing pains, and he has seemed to skip that.
Doesn't seem to be having
So,
them.
I mean, good for him.
Listen,
Good for him.
Luka's playing well.
Okay.
But Harden, so back to the question.
Yes.
Is he the best scorer
Yes.
of this era? By the numbers, yes. The numbers tell you that he is.
Mm-hmm.
However, for me, just personally, basketball-wise, as much as I love Harden, there are other players I would take over him to score. Not a lot. I mean, he's on the
it's a very small
he's on the short list.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not taking more than 2 guys over him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's KD for sure. Healthy KD, like just
Healthy KD.
because of the
But
size and the.
he's not in this race this year.
I'm taking that. I'm taking him over Harden.
Yeah.
And then, I'll think about number 2.
LeBron. Anyway, moving on to my favorite
Lord,
topic
here we go.
of the week. Dun, dun, dun. Introducing your Western Conference Player of the Week, Carmelo Anthony.
Hashtag
1 week
stay
ago,
me Lou.
guys, just when you put it in this perspective, what was it, a mere week or 2 ago? This man wasn't in the league.
He's
Now,
here now.
fast forward days later, and he is literally the Western Conference Player of the Week. And may I add, just to educate you all, that the NBA front offices choose the players of the week. Just saying, okay? Now, let's get more into this because now, first of all, Melo says this is not a farewell tour.
Right.
Although
right.
he told Rachel Nichols in a new interview that's coming out that he prepared himself for retirement. He
Right.
thought it was
he wasn't getting any phone calls.
Exactly. He
so.
thought it was a major possibility. He goes through his whole mental psyche during that point. But the question is for Jarod, too. Do we need to pump the brakes on Melo? And I'm going to say not, only because let me just give you a little bit of my argument here, okay?
Go. Shoot.
I mean, like we said, a little 2-week-old Melo in this season. And he's already being recognized for his strong play. I mean, he's averaging, 22 points, merely 7.7 rebounds, 2.7 assists. He's doing exactly what Portland needs him to do.
So, yes, over the course of that weekend, those 3 wins, the Blazers did go 3-0, and those were Melo's numbers, right? Excellent. This is a wonderful story, and I think it is probably one of the better stories to lead off the NBA season. I mean, Melo is a Hall of Fame player. He's a 10-time All-Star. I mean, he's
and he's not ready to retire.
10-time All-Star. I think he's made All-NBA 6 times. Melo is historically one of the great players of this generation. No question about that. Hall of Famer. Now, I can make the case that many other players had better weeks than Melo in terms of the numbers they put up.
Mm-hmm.
Luka had a better week. Harden had a better week. Just right off the top right there. Now, Harden only played 2 games because the Rockets only had 2, and you generally don't win that award playing 2 games. You have to play 3 or more to win the award. So, fine, and it's whatever. Look, I'm not here to quibble about should he have won it. It doesn't matter. Great story. Great job for Melo. Melo's doing exactly what the Blazers brought him in to do. I hope that this situation with Portland allows Carmelo affords him the opportunity to go out of the game the way in which a player of his magnitude and stature deserves to go out.
I completely agree.
That's all.
I completely agree.
But the hand wringing on the internet about people going crazy. I'm like, look, who cares?
But it won't be this year.
Well, look, again, what I will say about pumping the brakes is it's been 6 games. Let's see how he's doing 20-plus games in and how the Blazers are doing. And, but again, for right now, he's doing with all the injuries they got, he is doing what they need him to do. And look, it's a testament to his ability to stay focused, his ability to stay in shape and keep his game sharp enough to come back after a year plus off of being out of the league to still play high-level quality basketball and get buckets, right?
Absolutely.
That's huge. And at his age. So, again,
yeah,
kudos to Carmelo Anthony.
I mean, he has a new interview coming out with Rachel Nichols, like we talked about before. He said he feels good. He had a year off. He prepared in the right way. He said, basically what I've been preaching for the past few weeks, that he has accepted this role. He's put the ego aside, this and that. But I did find it interesting that he said he was ready to walk away. I mean,
when no one's calling you.
But think about this, though. If somebody were to look at you and, I don't know, hypothetical speaking, you or I, like we got laid off, whatever, and nothing is happening. What that does to your mental psyche.
Again, his mental fortitude's strong.
He told Rachel Nichols that he would actually go around and take walks.
Yeah.
Just walks.
Well, think about it, right?
To clear his head, to do anything. It's just crazy.
We talk about this all the time. 450 players play in the NBA. Mm-hmm. You are the elite of the elite if you make the National Basketball Association, which basically means from a very early age in your life, right, somewhere in the 6, 7, 8-year-old range, you had to dedicate your entire life to perfecting and mastering the skill of basketball in order to have a shot of making it to the NBA, right?
Absolutely.
You get a better shot of making it to the NFL, Major League Baseball, a million other sports than the NBA because of the dearth of opportunities that actually exist, right? You get a better chance of getting into Harvard than you do of making the NBA. That's just by numbers, and the numbers tell you that.
Hey.
So the ability to play basketball, this who he is. He's a baller.
He
so
is.
having it taken away from you is going to make you not only feel some type of way, but have an impact on you mentally. So for him to have, again, the fortitude to stay strong and maintain, and like he said, I thought about retirement because, look, no one's calling. And then stay ready to have that call, and now here he is. Again, what I want for him is what I said, and I'll say it again, to have the opportunity to go out of the game and leave the game on his terms. Because obviously the way that it went down with Houston trading him and all that wasn't on his terms. And a player of his stature deserved better than that. So now he's getting an opportunity with Portland to go out the way he wants to go out. And look, anyone who said he was washed or whatever, he's showing him some things.
Hey, yeah. I mean, and even, veterans around the league, Dwayne Wade, congratulated him, joked about the washed, whatever. And we talked about LBJ last week, did the same thing. I mean, good for him. I'm excited to see this journey. I really hope Portland works out.
Absolutely.
Portland just seems like a great organization overall as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Dame's very happy there.
Neil O'Shea, the GM, and Terry Stotts, and that's a well-run organization.
I love it. Now, let's move on to some interesting and exciting news. Definitely something new for the league. Basketball Africa League, they're holding their first ever combine right here in our backyard.
That's right, in Brooklyn this week.
And you're going.
I am, yeah. It's going to
Tell us all about it.
At the Nets practice facility in Brooklyn, the HSS Training Center. The Nets they leave for a road trip today, probably. They left after practice. So they'll be in Charlotte and Atlanta. And so while their facility is empty, the NBA and FIBA have the Basketball Africa League, which is a new professional league featuring 12 club teams from across Africa scheduled to begin play in March of 2020. They're going to have their first combine this week, where they, just like how the NBA combine runs, where you run players through a variety of drills and positional workouts, and they play a bunch of 5-on-5 games so the various club teams from Africa can figure out, okay, who's good, who can we select, and I'm super excited about it because I think that, look, clearly globalization is one of Commissioner Adam Silver's big things. Started with David Stern, who preceded him, and Adams picked up the mantle and run forward with it, and this is wonderful. Joel Embiid is from Africa. Luol Deng, there's so Giannis Antetokounmpo, even though he is a Greek national, his roots are Nigerian, right? So there are a variety of players,
and they're very close. Those guys,
there are a variety of players in the league who come from Africa and have African roots. Of course, we know the league's history between Dikembe Mutombo, Hakeem Olajuwon, etc. So this is awesome that a professional league is happening in Africa. This is the first time the NBA is collaborating on a professional league to be run outside of North America, right? So this is huge, and I'm excited because I want to go and just see the players, obviously, but also hear from the various people in charge of the league president, Amadou Gallo Fall, the various Africa BAL board presidents, and also Dikembe Mutombo and Luol Deng and the various people who are a part of the NBA who are working to help get this league off the ground. Again, it's a collaboration between the NBA and FIBA. And this is awesome. And I love the fact that the NBA is just pushing basketball forward. It has its Basketball Without Borders program, and that is actually how Joel got discovered in Africa. It's through the Basketball Without Borders program with Masai Ujiri, the Raptors GM, is a big part of that. So this is big. Basketball after soccer is the second most popular sport in the world. So, I mean, this is wonderful for the game. And with all the talks that Adam has had about the different ways to make the regular season more compelling, that in-season tournament that he's talking about, I don't know this for a fact, and we're a long way away, but the model that he used is the Champions League, right, which happens in European soccer. Well, if this Basketball Africa League takes off the way they want it to, maybe it's a situation where you have that kind of thing where the NBA champion, right, plays the Basketball Africa League champion, and they're right, and they have and if there are more leagues, they have this sort of like communal like world tournament. I could listen. Adam's progressive, and this would not shock me if this is like the pipe dream for 20 years down the road.
No, same. I completely agree. And I think it's a great way to forge relationships, discover new talent.
For sure.
And like you said, globalization. I mean, it's incredible inclusion. I think you can only see good things out of this.
And the combine camp's going to be run by PJ Carlissimo, who's been an NBA head coach and who was the assistant coach on the 92 Olympic Dream Team. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to going tomorrow and Thursday, and I will report back what interesting tidbits we pull from there.
I love it. Can't wait to hear all about it.
We'll share.
Now, it is time.
The return of America's #1 segment.
What's up with? Where?
Right, you kick it off.
Yes.
Where we figure out what is up with
certain topics that just
people,
need to be
teams.
Yeah, certain things that need to be discussed around the association, whether it's cultural, anything.
It could be good. It could be like, what's up with whoa?
Yeah, like, oh, dang.
Or it could be like, damn, what's up with?
Yeah, exactly. It could be good or bad. You never know what you're going to get hit with. And I'm going to start mine off with your favorite person and mine, Kyrie Irving.
Is he my favorite person? Or is he your favorite person?
Definitely not right now. Kyrie Irving. It is getting harder and harder by the day to defend Kyrie Irving.
What did Third Eye Kyrie say this time?
I love it. Not only is my guy Kyrie Irving now slated to miss more games with what Kenny Atkinson says is a shoulder impingement, but now he's staying behind a rehab while the team goes to Atlanta, Charlotte, everything, and they make their way around the league. He's missing more games. Not only did I spot a wedding ring on his finger.
Wait, when I texted you, because remember I said to you, I think he's engaged, and you're like, what?
Well, Jarod goes, I think he's engaged. I was like, wait, I didn't know this. Go to his IG. He slips it in a video that you may think is just about his career, my friends, but it is not. He says, all like nonchalant, my fiance.
Ooh. I know that hurts your heart a little bit. I know.
You know, I just didn't. I just thought he would have waited a little
he
longer.
He can at least give you fair warning.
You know, it's just a little warning.
Heads
like,
up.
hey, what's up? Like, you've been here my whole life, but like,
that's
you know,
all simple.
It is what it is. It's fine. Anyway, I see a ring on his finger, and then you know what really also concerned me too? He posted a long message about, you know, the media and the love of the game and how it's a gimmick and not to listen to things and how long in the short, he basically said, my mentality and my mental psyche and my life is way more important than this game, which, you know, of course it is.
True, yeah.
Of course it is. It definitely was like a little bit of a harsh letter.
You know, it came in response to, obviously, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the Nets were in Boston, and the Boston fans could not wait for Kyrie to show up so they could heckle him, boo him, the whole nine. Kyrie did not make the trip with the team, stayed behind in Brooklyn to rehab, and, of course, the Boston fans and everybody thought he was ducking them. Your boy Perk even said he was ducking them, right? Like,
Perk.
Everybody, you know, everybody was like, oh, Kyrie's ducking him, he's soft, whatever. And the crowd, you know, let him have it. Kyrie sucks, where's Kyrie? All that jazz. I mean, the Celtics did win that game, cool. But what I did enjoy was after the game, Marcus Smart and a bunch of the Boston guys were like, look, Kyrie's not on this team anymore. Like, he's on the Brooklyn Nets. You're happy
Get over it.
You're happy you got Kemba Walker now, right? Like, we're doing well. Like, let's move on from this
Exactly.
storyline. So, you know, but Kyrie, of course, with that Instagram post that throws gas on the fire.
Yeah.
I think we need to be sensitive, right? Like
100%. I don't mean to cut you off, but we need to be sensitive. But also, this does not help the argument that Kyrie's problematic in Brooklyn. Kyrie's emotional.
Right,
Kyrie's this. Kyrie's that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So before you're hitting send on that message, of course I want him to get it off his chest and answer that because what the Boston fans did was wrong.
Right.
But it also, what I'm saying is, it doesn't help his narrative. So what I'm saying is, what's up with Kyrie? Because I really don't know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Kyrie's a bit of an enigma. And I think part of it is, and maybe part of his frustration is, why is everyone trying to figure me out?
True.
Like, I am who I am.
Because that's what everyone
Right?
tried to do with Kevin Durant.
Right?
And look,
and I think
Yeah.
that's why both of them kind of have that kinship where it's like, stop trying to figure me out.
yeah.
Like, we are who we are.
Yeah.
We play ball, cool. Like, we do that. You want to dissect basketball? Knock yourselves out. But stop trying to figure out, are we moody? Are we this? Are we
Yeah.
that? Are we,
Yeah.
And on the one hand, like, I understand that, like, again, like, these people are human beings. We say this all the time. Like, and there needs to be a level of, if we're applauding the league and talking about how great it is that they've championed mental health, we can't at the same time, out of the same side of our mouth, be like, oh, there's Kyrie again being moody. What's wrong with that dude? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, look, it's not, you can't have it both ways, right? Like,
Agreed.
now you can say that's what the money's for. But again, look, just because LeBron handles it a certain way or other guys are Teflon or whatever, that's them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every person is different and should be allowed to handle things the way in which they handle it. Marcus Smart came out and said, look, not Marcus Smart, excuse me, Iman Shumpert, who was teammates with Kyrie when they were in Cleveland, said, look, Kyrie's a regular dude. Yes, sometimes he'll get quiet, but that's fine. Like, but if you start treating him like a weirdo, like an alien, well, then
And then he's going to act like
then
one.
this is what you're
Like,
going to get.
Yeah.
Like, you got to, and we all know people like that, right? Who sometimes they go introvert, they get quiet, they
True.
get withdrawn. Like, you need to understand, like, okay, you need your space right now, my man? Cool, I got you. Whatever it may be. And his teammates generally get that point. And all the guys at Boston had fine things to say about Kyrie. They all, when they came to Brooklyn the Friday, so the day after Thanksgiving, because it was a home and home, a bunch of the guys dapped him up after, and he said hello to them, and they were talking, and things are, it is what it is, man. Like, I think because this is how the narrative works, and it's a juicy topic to discuss, this is what we're going to get. But the bottom line is, what I'm more concerned with from a Brooklyn Nets standpoint is, and again, there's nothing bad coming from the locker room. Everything that I've heard, and again, I'm around the team when they're here, has been good.
Yeah.
It's more about what Kyrie is witnessing when he's watching on the bench, right? The team has been 6-3 while he's been out. What has he seen? And what has he seen from the different players in which he figures out when he comes back in, how can I incorporate myself into that? Because he is the, with Kevin Durant being sidelined, he is the singular talent offensively on this team. It is much easier for him to subjugate his game and fit around everybody else because he's that gifted and talented. So figure out as you're watching, and he's been very good about coaching the guys up during the huddles and whatever, see what's going on, and then when you come back, know, okay, I can fit in with you guys, and then when you need me, when things are sputtering, I'll just go in a Kyrie mode and I'll cook, and I'll carry us over the top.
And all narratives aside, emotions, everything, which is whatever, it's no secret that Kyrie's basketball IQ is extremely high.
No, for sure.
So when he's on that bench and he's especially sitting there with Kevin Durant, an IQ of
that's two
stature,
smart basketball savants.
he's
right there.
seeing so much, like you said, that he can't see on the court. So not only is this going to help him acclimate to the offense even further, it's just going to overall, I think, help the team navigate the rest of the season in a better way because he's going to see, oh, wait, we're making this mistake. Oh, this guy's here. I'm here, or I should be here.
And just familiarity. Oh, so-and-so likes the ball here. It's,
Not to mention Iman Shumpert is a great addition to that team, too. And they played together in Cleveland, so they have that championship DNA, the championship mentality.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens when he returns. And I hope he returns soon. I mean, like we said, he's supposed to be out 2 more games.
So he's doing on-court work right now. He is not cleared for physical contact yet.
Yeah.
So what we're going to hopefully see, while he's staying back to recover, to rehab this week while the team's away, he'll still practice on-court. Hopefully he'll get cleared for physical contact by the weekend, and then maybe not in time for Sunday's game against the Nuggets at home, but maybe their next game. He can be back and ready. So we'll see.
All right.
Next,
kick us off.
For me, what's up with the Utah Jazz?
Ah, darn it.
Why'd you have that one too?
Yeah. Terrible road trip.
1-4 on this road trip. Blowout losses to Toronto and Philly.
Yeah.
So, and I've been watching them because they're a league pass team. I have them.
I'm disappointed.
I had them going to the conference finals, right? I'm like, okay, you got Conley, you got Bojan Bogdanovic. I was like, okay.
Seemed like a seamless transition.
Right? And defensively, okay, they're 12th in defensive rating, not terrible, but that's below their potential. 8th in defensive rebounding percentage, 10th in opponents' points in the paint. Again, not bad numbers, but for a team as good as they are defensively, that's a little down. But what's really bothering me is their offensive numbers. 23rd in offensive rating. And Mike Conley is really the beginning and ending of this. His field goal percentage, 36% right now. It is the worst of his entire career. His true shooting percentage is below 37%, and his effective field goal is also the worst of his career. Now, Quinn Snyder, Utah Jazz head coach, he said, look, progress isn't linear. And you and I have said that all the time, right? You're bringing in new players into a new system, just like in Brooklyn. Like, it takes time to evolve and figure things out.
Yeah.
And the Jazz and Quinn Snyder, his playbook is very expansive, and it takes time to master. It's actually known around the league as being the most expansive playbook in the league, the Utah Jazz, right?
Fun fact.
So that is something to consider. But that's still not excusing the fact that he's missing shots, right? Regardless of what the offense is, if you're getting jump shots and you're missing them, that's still at the core of the whole point of the game is to get the ball in the basket, and he's not shooting well. And we love to say it's early. Jenna, we're 20 games into the season for everybody. We're a quarter of the way in. So these are concerning signs for me.
Going off of what you said, staying on the topic of Conley, he apparently felt the same way too, because after that loss to the Raptors, he said, quote, "It's not a matter of making shots or not making shots. That's not the issue for me, especially early on." Well, he didn't feel like that anyway. It's being comfortable and knowing when to be aggressive and how I can be effective with the lineup that we have. I'm so used to having the ball in my hand, so it's an adjustment.
Right.
So he's
again,
admitting there.
So it's back to what I said about Quinn's system, because you got Donovan Mitchell there, right, who has the ball a lot in his hands sometimes too.
Yeah.
So that's going to take time and Quinn's going to have to figure out what is the balance between having Mike have the ball in his hands versus Donovan having the ball in his hands, right? And that's what the regular season's about. So, I think part of it too is maybe we have you just think it's plug and play, and it's not plug and play.
No.
You can't just insert guy here and then all of a sudden, okay, we're going to be good to go. It's going to take some time. Yes, the elites of the elites, they can make it work. But even we can look back to 3 years ago when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, right? Now, granted, the Warriors were still excellent, and they were on a huge win streak, but they lost that game Christmas against the Lakers, and Durant and Steph said, look, man, we got to do something about the pick and roll here. It's not really working out. Like, it's just because Steph was so used to having the ball, and Durant was so used to being ISO heavy. So even as great as those two are, it's like, okay, it still took some time, even though, they obviously worked it out and won the championship. So Conley, obviously not as great as those two. Conley and Donovan, not as good as those two, but still, it takes time to work out the kinks and figure out, how do I fit into this offense so that we as a team are achieving at our highest level?
100%. I mean, like you said, working out the kinks, and I think Utah has a lot to do there because, even I'm still looking at the post game here after the Raptors.
Right.
Rudy Gobert thought defense was their problem. He said, I think we lack communication in transition defense, and all of their guys got going. It was a big party for them out there. So obviously they couldn't slow down the Raptors defense. And you know what? This Raptors team is interesting, too, because now, Kawhi-less and the Raptors are good. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on them, too, because of the loss of Kawhi.
Pascal made a huge jump.
Yep.
He...
well-deserved, and paycheck is fat these days.
He's playing like an all-NBA player.
He is, and I'm very proud.
Pascal's doing well.
Very proud. Utah was my next
one of yours. All right, so go to your third.
So my third is because I gave them such disappointment in past pods this season.
So is a good what's up with?
This is a good what's up with. What's up with the Hawks? Okay, they ended their losing streak and handed the Warriors their worst NBA record.
Well, listen.
Although we're not surprised with that, still, if you ever thought you would hear the words Warriors and worst NBA record in the same sentence, Kevin Durant or not.
Well, not only that, no Kevin Durant, no Steph Curry, no Klay Thompson.
Exactly, no D'Angelo Russell right now.
Right, they got nothing. They got Draymond.
But I am giving kudos to the Hawks also because, they're without some key players because of some, PEDs, violation there. But, dang, the Hawks are coming back. They're coming back slowly.
You think?
Come on, let's not get crazy here. But, literally.
Trey's cooking.
He hasn't slowed down either.
He's playing
and
well.
We're sleeping on him.
I'm liking what I see from DeAndre Hunter, but he's having his rookie ups and downs.
Of course.
But what I do wonder though about the Hawks, is Lloyd Pierce the head coach of the Hawks? Is he the right guy to get them
to the next level,
to the next step?
Yeah.
Whatever that next step is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even though they snapped their losing streak, and yes, they are without John Collins, I thought they'd be a little better than they are right now this year, and they're not quite playing up to that level. So I wonder what that's about. It could just be the injury thing.
I mean, the Hawks have the worst defense in the league, and they still beat the Warriors.
Well,
and the Warriors only got off like 79 points.
Well, because you see who the Warriors trot out there?
I'm trying here.
I mean, it's not very good. It's like a G League team, basically.
Hey, I love the G League.
I mean, it's Draymond like 4 G Leaguers. Like, I mean,
that's rough.
Yeah, it's not good.
It is rough. But too, with the topic of the Hawks, I say that too because Trae Young has been there and he hasn't been on the best team, and he is just showing out every night. He went 24-7. Listen,
Trae's great. The John Collins suspension is really problematic.
Yes.
Because that's a nice pick and roll combo like that. And the Herder injury, like.
Can you imagine Trae Young though on a contending team?
Well, the idea is that he builds the Hawks into a
contending. I know,
right?
But I'm just saying now.
No, yeah. I mean,
can you imagine
electric,
Trae Young?
Yeah, sure, it'd be great.
I mean,
look, especially the bottom of the Eastern Conference, because look, the 8 seed right now is below 500. So like, I mean, I was thinking the Hawks could like be around that 8, 9, 10 range, and right now. Anyway.
I mean, they haven't won in a long time, so we'll let them hold on to that. Had to show them some love.
So I did have Kyrie Irving as well as one of mine,
yes.
so I'll skip that one.
Yeah.
So my last one, Zion Williamson and the Pelicans. Well, it's been 6 weeks since his knee surgery. Still not doing any on-court work. And the internet's just going crazy today. It's 6 weeks, Zion's not on court yet, because the original time frame was 6 to 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But those time frames are always estimates, and they're always off. And David Griffin, the EVP of operations for the Pelicans, was on the Hoops Adjacent podcast.
Yeah.
And he told David Aldridge and Wazzy Lambre that Zion will play this year. So it looks like it'll happen sometime. Now, will it be Christmas? Might not, because if he's not even on court
Can you
yet,
imagine if that man comes back for a Christmas Day game?
Well, listen, he's going to have to get on the court soon and start getting cleared for physical contact.
I'm surprised he's not.
Well, I think
a little bit.
Well, they're also being precautious with him as they should. I mean, listen,
very true. Very true.
The Pelicans ain't going to the playoffs this year anyway. So whoa.
And you know what really upsets me about that is that they have so many good pieces.
They do.
We just don't know yet if.
But I think part of it is, again, so a lot of new faces in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Drew Holiday's a constant, but Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, like JJ Redick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zion, the rookie, hasn't even played yet. Jackson Hayes. I mean, you have a lot of young guys and a lot of new guys.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of new and young guys mixed together does not create for a winning environment, right? Like, so, but I like the direction Alvin has them going in. I like what Griff is building. Look,
I do like the culture there.
They get another lottery pick, because and then hopefully we see Zion soon again. But if people want to see him by Christmas, he's gonna have to get on the court by next week, and early next week, and then has to ramp up to contact shortly thereafter that. So I don't know that Christmas is gonna happen. It's possible, sure, but not looking like it right now.
No, I don't think it's going to happen either.
And again,
I'd be very surprised if it did happen.
If you're New Orleans, what is the rush? I know their fans are disappointed, and I know that we as fans of the league are disappointed, but, long-term health.
Hey, I completely agree. And is that it for What's Up With?
That's it for What's Up With.
Oh, man. Let's get into some quick hits right here, because there are some things that we need to touch upon that I think are very interesting, and we're going to see more developments in the coming weeks. Now, let's talk about the Knicks. All right. What is the fate of David Fizdale in New York?
Well,
we brought him here to dig us out of a hole, yet we're still even deeper in the hole. I mean, is his end near? Do we have time to salvage it? I mean, the Knicks had a 44-point loss to Milwaukee.
It is Milwaukee.
It is Milwaukee, but man, 44 points is rough.
That's rough.
Completely rough. I mean, there's rumblings around the league. There's always a rumor mill happening. What is your take? Have you heard anything?
Well, our guy Ian Bedley of SNY said that source told him that Fizdale is not long for this job. Like, he might get fired very soon.
But here's the thing. Who else are you going to bring in?
Well,
when he came in, Dwayne Wade, a lot of people sang his praises.
For sure. Look, we have to look at the roster construction, right? Like, and again, we go back to the summer where the Knicks thought they were getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. So instead, with that money, they go, okay, let's get Julius Randle. Let's get Bobby Portis. Let's get Marcus Morris Sr. I mean, what? You already got Mitchell Robinson. I mean, so they got a dearth, not a dearth. They have a plethora of power forwards. Yes, you got R.J. Barrett. Great. Love R.J. Barrett. But who's playing point guard? You're having him play point. It's not only what he does, but he's a wing who needs the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Knox, are we allowing him to develop?
DSJ.
What's up with Frank Ntilikina and DSJ? I mean, what I will say, so the roster, that is on Mills and Perry, right? The president and GM.
Yes.
They're the ones who put this roster together. But Fizdale has to get some blame because those rosters aren't working out. I mean, those lineups, aren't working out. Look, your job is to, with what they give you, you've got to make lemonade out of it, right? Like that is your job. And the best coaches in the league, what they do is with the early part of the season, they're tinkering with lineups because they're trying to figure out combinations. That's what Kenny Atkinson is doing in Brooklyn. That's what Brad Stevens is doing in Boston.
Yeah.
That's what Quinn's doing in Utah. Yeah, those teams are winning at a better clip than the Knicks are, so their coaches have more leeway. But you've got to figure out what combos work. And the lineup combos he's putting out there right now ain't having it. And sometimes it's looking like a lack of effort on the part of the team. And if the team isn't putting out effort on the floor, that blame goes to the head coach. And that's David Fizdale, unfortunately. Now, who's going to replace him? Like, I don't know.
I mean, the bombshell press conference that they had, which didn't provide much insight into their future.
Right,
I mean, they've gone 2-9 since then.
Look, they're not a very good team, and they are battling with the Warriors for the worst record in the NBA.
Did you ever think? Did you?
The Knicks? Yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, the Warriors.
Well, once we heard Steph got hurt, I was like, oh, no.
Yep.
I was like, oh, no, this team's done. I was like, no Clay this year. Steph going to miss the majority of the year.
They have Clay in the announcing booth.
Yeah. He's doing a good job.
He is doing great, to be honest. I mean, he definitely has a job there, if anything.
You know, the Knicks, it's tough. I'll just say that. It's tough.
It is tough. You know, I just actually interviewed Fat Joe today.
Oh, yeah.
Notorious Knicks
I know.
fan.
What did he say? Is he like?
He told me,
yeah,
quote unquote, that he has high blood pressure, so he had to stop going to the games. He had to stop.
Really?
Because he couldn't handle it. He said he almost began arguing on the court with people. He said it's better for the organization if he sits home. That's exactly what he told me. And that was before he put his head in his hands and shook his head and almost shed a glistening tear.
Shouts to Fat Joe and Terror Squad.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's move on here because we got to talk about the Clippers now, okay?
Yeah.
They hang 150 points on the Wizards. And Kawhi says, we're still learning each other. And let me tell you this really quick, okay? Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
In more than 2 decades of coaching, Doc Rivers says that he has never led a team whose 2 best players have yet to practice together with the starting unit 21 games into the season. Kawhi Leonard and PG-13 have not practiced together, and the Clips are putting up 150 points in a game.
See,
and mind you, the Warriors scored 79 the other night against the Hawks.
So it's interesting, right? We just talked about how it's hard for players to like come in and figure out what's going on, and like clearly not for Kawhi and Paul George, right? Like
Kawhi's he's not normal.
But again, though, what do we always say, Jen? There's levels to this, right?
Much so.
The top guys in the league, like LeBron, right? You put the top 5 guys in the league. You take them off their team and put them anywhere. The transition is going to be seamless because they are the offensive system unto themselves, right? That's how good they are. They can figure out a way to make their games work. As good as someone like Kyrie is, right? Kyrie isn't a top 5 guy, so his integration is going to take a little bit more time, be a little more challenging. Mike Conley's certainly in a top 5 guy, so it's the more excellent these players are, the easier it is for them to make their games malleable to fit into with what's going on because that's how good they are, right? And also, it's like, hey, if they are the guy, the team is built around them, right? They are the systems. And unfortunately for Conley, he's not quite the system, right? And that's sort of the push-pull in Brooklyn. Kyrie is so talented offensively. He's singularly unique in that way that it's easy for the other guys to just watch. And it's like, yeah, but if you're just standing around watching, you're not actually helping the good of the whole ecosystem, right? But what the Clippers are doing is incredible. And Kawhi's correct, though. They are still learning each other, which, again, gets back to my point. They're playing this well now. And I'm as I told you, with the load management and everything else, they're going to be a fine regular season team. I imagine they'll finish somewhere in the top 3, which is all they need. But come playoff time, listen, you want to be on the opposite end of the bracket from them. You don't want to play them till the Western Conference Finals.
Oh, heck
because
no. You want to move like Portland and just kind of
you want to
gaze through there until you get to that point where
in some ways
it's not okay.
Even as good as the Lakers are record-wise, you'd rather play the Lakers than the Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
100%. That
look,
defense?
Look, you're still probably losing to either, but I mean...
You don't want that defense smoke.
You don't want that defensive smoke from the Clippers.
Absolutely
you just
not.
don't right now.
Really quick, you know how we just quoted Kawhi saying that, they started learning each other?
Yeah.
The latter half of this quote is hysterical, seeing as what the Clippers are doing. Quote, "We're still up and down. Sometimes our offense is stagnant or doing early quick shots without moving the ball, but we can be special." Well, dang.
Again.
If you ain't special now, what are you going to be?
Levels, right? Levels. Like,
holy
this team has the capability of being an all-time team.
Yeah.
Like, that's the level of talent they have. It's just about the time figuring out to work out and get the pieces to mesh. But they're so talented as just a group of collected individuals that, they can work things out. And let's also be fair. There's a good infrastructure there. Steve Ballmer is the owner. Doc Rivers is the coach. Right? And you have that bench with Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. So when that starting unit has its issues, we can go to the bench, and Lou and Montrezl in that pick and roll game, they kill backups. And it's beautiful, right? So they can weather that uncomfortableness and awkwardness the starting 5 may have sometimes while they figure out the kinks.
It's got to be a great feeling.
Doc is loving life right now.
Right? Like, to coach Kawhi Leonard, arguably the best player in the league, and to have a roster like this. And it's funny, in the post-game, too, he was talking. He said, we've maybe had 3 shoot-arounds. They haven't been in the same lineup. They haven't done anything.
And,
this is like chump change for
they hardly practice
right
because
now.
of the way in which the season works out in the schedule. So, look, this is wonderful for the Clippers. If you're a Clippers fan...
Well, I was just thinking, it's got to be a wonderful feeling to be a season ticket holder for the Clippers.
Got to be feeling great right now.
And even the Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
LA's thriving.
Listen, LA is the center of the basketball universe right now.
Oh, my goodness. Let's go to LA, Jarod. All right, let's wrap things up on a nice note here. We have Giannis and Luka, players of the month in October and November.
Yeah, so the NBA
Rightfully
combines
so.
that, right? Like, so because October, there's only like a handful of games. And then, so for October and November, Luka and Giannis are the players of the month. Look. As you said,
young.
Rightfully so. This is the future of the league that we are witnessing right now.
Oh yeah.
And what's interesting to note there too is that that's the first time that 2 international players have been players of the month.
I love that.
Right.
And I'm looking at their stats. They're not too far from one another.
Look, they're incredible. Look, I talked about this last week. Giannis may be better than he was last year.
I think you're right.
And he was really good last year.
Like, scary good.
Right.
I mean, he was the MVP.
Right.
So where do you go from here?
Win another one, I guess. And they're Milwaukee's starting to stretch and flex a little bit in the East. And again, Dallas, we talked about Luka to start the show. No one thought they'd be in the playoff mix. Again, I know it's early, but again, we're 20 games in, so it's not that early anymore.
And you know what's interesting, too, about that MVP race and how we talk about it, and we did in the beginning of this episode? I just think it's interesting, and you're going to roll your eyes that I'm sticking up for LeBron James, but we get so enamored by, the
new
young
shiny
and the new shiny things that, like,
LeBron's still putting up historic numbers.
He's still putting up the same numbers, but yet we're not this is normal.
Well,
like we talked about Harden,
yeah.
normalizing his game.
And that's LeBron is a prisoner of what every all-time great has done before him, right? When Michael Jordan ran the league in the 80s and 90s, he could have won MVP every year. Because, I mean, he was the best player in the league.
Easily, but yet we're in some, not weird, but like
But
people are tired
But what
of
happens
it.
is, as humans, like our brains get tired of seeing the same thing, and again, we start to normalize greatness. But what we have to keep in mind, and we try to do a good job of this on this show, is recognize the things that LeBron James is doing, the things that James Harden is doing, the thing that any of these guys are doing. This is not normal, right?
No,
like particularly someone like
means.
LeBron James for putting these numbers up for 17 seasons. Like this is insanity.
17.
Like insanity. And we can't take it for granted because one day you're not going to be playing in the NBA anymore.
Right.
Now, it looks like we're in good hands. We got some quality young
we'll
stars
be all
behind.
right.
I think
Yeah.
we'll be okay. But you take it for granted and then it's gone, and you're like, damn. Remember when? Yeah. Remember when 28, 11, and 8? You were like, who cares? So boring. I mean, LeBron James is leading the league in assists in his 17th season.
That's not okay.
I mean, again, that's testament to his greatness. And like we said, you're talking about someone who, in my opinion, is on the short list of 3 people to be the greatest basketball player of all time. So,
and speaking of greatness, really quick, I know we do not cover this on this pod, but I do also think that it's interesting that it's actually a mind game with your eyes to see Bronny Jr. and Dwayne Wade's son.
Yeah. Playing on Sierra Canyon.
Playing on Sierra
high school.
Canyon, doing incredibly fun things. They remind you of them, and not to mention, I think they have more televised games than
I know. It's crazy.
some of the league teams.
Here's what I hope people do. Let LeBron James Jr. and Zaire Wade, or not
Zaire.
No, not Zaire. Zaire's the other son. Let them develop.
Yes.
At their own pace.
And don't ruin
and stop comparing them to their dads at that age and all that. Just stop. They are their own. They're their own person. Let them be individuals and let them grow and develop at the rate at which they grow. And we talk about it all the time. Growth is not linear, particularly when you're that age.
Exactly.
Right? Like there's going to be ups and downs. So let them relax.
And I was seeing.
Cool out.
I was actually looking at a picture of Dwayne Wade and his son on the court. His son was playing. He was there to watch him. And his son is as tall as him, if not taller.
Yeah. Well,
he's a
obviously
big guy.
Not as muscular as his dad. But
no. But still, like, okay.
No, listen. Again, I think these kids have potential and talent, but they're not their dads. They are their own individuals.
That's what people need to separate.
And let them be themselves.
Amen. And like we say on this pod, comparison is the thief of joy.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Remember that, people.
That is right, Jarod. And that is all we have for you guys today.
Yeah, make sure you rate, listen, review, download, subscribe at 7 Footers Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at 7 Footers Pod, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemoncelli.
That's right, guys. Thanks for hanging with us per usual, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't want to trap, what some man gon' do? Chevy told me come through to the spot. Got a little kickback, bring the whole crew. Right around 10, came dressed in the nines. You already know what we really finna do when we pull up on the scene. Pull up on the scene, pull up on the scene. Yeah, we pull up on the scene. See, my life is a movie. Pull up on the scene, did it so smoothly. Pull up on the scene, Mario Kart.